Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we've got a plot twist happening where Danielle on the current season of Bachelor in Paradise says that she had talked prior to Michael A. Now their relationship's getting hot and heavy on the beach. Now, this isn't any breaking news. They've already discussed that they've talked beforehand, but she provides a little bit more information regarding how that relationship came about. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at DNeals, and I'm going to go live on Patreon at 10 a.m. right after this video at patreon.com/Dave Neal. I also want to shout out the podcast, which launches officially tomorrow, although we're doing episodes tonight as well, so basically it's launching today. Bachelor Rush Hour. We are already trending in American news in the top 100, a number 2 on the charts in entertainment news. And look at this. We're now number 2 in Canada's entertainment news. Australia, Germany, and France has entered the equation. So to our Canadian friends out there, hey, good day. To our Australians, shrimp on the barbie. To Germans, Danke schön. French, merci beaucoup. And Ireland, Double tomorrow until you. Save the rest for myself. So hopefully I didn't butcher too many countries all at once. But thank you guys so much for rating, reviewing, joining, listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of your support live at 5 p.m. every single day, East Coast time for Bachelor Rush Hour. Now, to get on with this segment, we've got Danielle on the Talking It Out podcast. There's a few different clips of her talking about her mental health and the therapy she's gone on after being on the last time she was on Bachelor in Paradise and the last time she was on Bachelor. But now we've got something interesting where she says, when a man likes you, he'll pursue you. And that's her sort of nice way of saying, Sierra Jackson, Michael just wasn't that into you. Now, of course, Michael and Sierra dated on Bachelor in Paradise earlier this season, and he was like, look, I'm not ready. Things aren't right. I feel like we're moving too fast. And then all of a sudden he's with Danielle. The truth is he was just being nice. He just wasn't that into her. But Sierra went onto her Instagram stories and Instagram reels and, did what she does, which is throw some shade at Michael saying, hey, what you did was wrong. You led me on this, that, and the other, which is totally fine and fair for her to feel that way. Here's Danielle and what she has to say. As we know, Bachelor in Paradise is back on tonight, and we're watching her relationship with Michael essentially shoot off to the moon. So far, there is no adversity with that relationship, and it's heading into good places. So let's hear her on Talking It Out in this clip discussing that her and Michael had actually talked prior and where they are at right now.
You've had this dating history. You've gone to therapy and still in therapy, which is great. Was that a correct statement? I said that? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to misspeak.
No.
And then, these dudes suck ass, right? Like, what was it that said, you know what? Let's give this good old Bachelor thing another try. What was that?
I feel like Paradise is so much more conducive to longer lasting relationships in the franchise. Obviously, I can't speak to Brian. You are married to Rachel, and everything worked out for you guys, but you guys didn't get much time together. Really, when you think about the amount of hours that you get with the lead before you're supposed to get down on one knee.
When you have the abs that Brian has, they give you more time. That's how it works. That's the rule of the abs.
Yeah, from what I hear, you guys get a lot more time.
You get a lot more time.
Paradise.
Yeah, we're together all the time. You're forming relationships with the other girls, with the guys, and you just get more time to hang out one-on-one, So, for that premise, you're spending all this time really getting to know each other, hours and days on end. You can get I feel like it's more plausible that you would get a better jump start on what life could look like in the real world.
I agree.
So you were hopeful. You were hopeful.
Yeah, like the real world where you live on a beach and people serve you, and Jesse Palmer gives you mimosas every day, and Wells makes you an appletini. But I get the point. But I do want to give Danielle a shout out here because look, she's an ICU nurse. She's a professional. She's you got to listen. Her audio with this microphone is so good. If Bachelor podcast had half the production value that she has here, more people would listen to them.
I was hopeful.
And what was your approach any different from the last time you were on Paradise compared to now?
Yeah. Wells was like, listen, D, You're one of my oldest friends. I know you're funny. I know you're sweet. Just fucking let it all out, okay?
Whoa.
Like, don't hold anything back. Just, like, really be you and have fun this season.
Perfect advice.
So,
Is that not, you don't think you acted that way in the previous season? Like, were you?
well, no, I was
in your head?
terrified. I was
Gotcha.
in my head. I was like, I work in the NICU. Like, I work with, like, super premature sick infants, and then I have their parents in there, and I'm like, if I do something stupid on national TV and, like, they're fans and they watch it and they're like, they see that I'm their nurse, they're gonna be like, sign me up for a new one. You know, I already have like a younger, softer sounding voice. And
now, when you do listen to her voice, Danielle would be a perfect voiceover artist for, like, Mermaid or some Disney Pixar cartoon, right? Doesn't she sound like, oh, but me, I'm just a princess? And I mean that with all respect. But that's the same problem that Kira had, who's a doctor, right? Saying, I don't know if people will take me seriously. Or maybe Kira didn't say that, but Danielle had that issue. When someone's like, really, the girl who was making out on her palapa, she's the one who's going to save my baby. But, like, it's okay to feel a certain way. Those are the projections of society. It's her job to be as sort of competent as possible to not let that get in the way.
parents are like, are you sure you're old enough to take care of my, child? And it's like, yes, I have a degree. I've actually been doing this for 15 years. So thank you very much.
Thanks for asking.
Talk that talk,
Yeah.
girl. So, like, now that we on the Paradise talk, let's keep it moving. We see Michael A. do what Michael A. hasn't done before on the show. We see what Brian and I continue to talk about, because we've hated when the women have said things like, why aren't these guys coming to us? And the answer is always, because they don't like you. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. Michael A. That's a fact. That's not even like an opinion. That's a fact.
Yeah.
They literally had to write a book called He's Just Not That Into You, because people will go to great lengths to realize why somebody doesn't like them. And it's like, look, sometimes some people ain't just that into you. We're not all your mom who thinks you're perfect and you get a gold star and participation trophies.
When a man likes you, they'll pursue you.
Exactly.
Bingo.
And so we see Michael A.
And I know that could come off like a jab. When a man likes you, he'll pursue you. But that's the absolute truth. If someone's not pursuing you, ditch them. Don't be their midnight booty call, or don't be their this or their shoulder to cry on. If they ain't running after you, then they're not that into you. Leave them, and maybe they'll show their priorities and then ditch whatever their other thing is and come after you. Maybe they'll put you on the front burner.
Pursue the effing hell out of you, right? Come straight for you.
He beelined for you.
He's like, hey,
right
that's
when
the
you
one
came
for
on
me
that
right there,
beach.
bro. He's like, that's the one, I'm going to grab her. He literally physically grabbed your hand in a respectful manner, right? And was like, hey, we
Very
about to walk.
respectful.
Yeah, it's very respectful. I'm not, people can take things out of context.
I love 2022. He grabbed your hand with consent. He consensually grabbed your hand. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, we're so careful. Look, this is going to lead people to believe that he wasn't that into Sierra, because he's like, look, he didn't grab Sierra's hand. He kind of was just biding his time. And you know what? Maybe he was hoping Danielle would arrive, but he did what was best for him in that current situation. Michael's response, in fair credit to Michael, is that he rejected Sierra when she had the rose. He didn't reject her for the power or for the control. He did it in the best way he could have done it. People still don't accept that.
It was very respectful, but he was like, yo, we about to go walk over here.
Yeah, it was a loving embrace. It was a loving embrace.
100%, right? So
That really
you know
caught
the
me
question
off
we're
guard.
going to ask, what was that prior? What was the lead up prior to you two physically meeting each other?
Like I said in the show, we had talked prior, like in our DMs.
How was that? But I'm
And some people are purists and they go, you're not supposed to ever mention who you are or talk before, but like, you don't know you're going to meet someone on the beach. You meet maybe a year earlier, you're talking your DMs. The Bachelor world is very incestual. If you're watching the show, you're DMing each other. Oh, nice to meet you. You feel like you're part of some weird society. You know what I mean? So this will rub some people the wrong way to find out that they had conversed before the show. But as I like to say, it is what it is.
You got talk to me like I'm your 16-year-old sister, right?
Take us
I'm like,
inside the DMs.
Tell me all the
Take us
details.
inside the
Nice.
What
DMs.
happened? Tell me all the details.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched him on Katie's season and his story just really resonated with me. And honestly, at first I was like, oh, here we go. They're just gonna ship the hell out of this. Like, look at this guy. They're gonna be like, oh, well, Danielle lost her fiance, and they should be perfect together just because they have that in common.
Fair thought.
And I did. I started following him, and really, I never really reached out until I'd been thinking about reaching out, but he had made a post about Laura for like I think it was like an anniversary post or something, and it just hit me, that day, and I reached out and I was like, hey, as someone who's unfortunately part of the same club and in your Bachelor world, like if you ever, need a friend just to kind of chat through things or gets the overwhelming amount of people that are going to message you sharing their stories and how to kind of protect your energy in that too, I'm here. We can.
So there she is. And about a decade ago, if you aren't familiar with Danielle's story, she found her fiance passed out from a drug overdose. She tried to give him life-saving CPR and he died. And if you know Michael's story, his wife Laura died of cancer after going into remission and thinking they had cured it. She had passed away several years ago. So their timelines are not exactly identical, but they've both experienced loss very close to them.
Chat. And it never went any further than just hey, what's up? How you doing? We talked about our stories and, just kind of like checked in on each other. But, I never, believe me, that entrance on the beach was completely caught me off guard. Like I had no idea he had any sort of crush even on me.
Tell me this, Danielle. I mean, because a lot of times, you guys were vibing in the DM. You say there was no flirtation, but it's a little different when you guys meet in person. Like sometimes the vibe just isn't there, even though you may have thought there was something in the DMs while you guys were talking. But what was that first encounter, and as you got to know him a little bit in person, was that everything you could have hoped for?
I was completely flabbergasted.
Okay, so anyway, like Brian said, sometimes you meet someone in your DMs and they're not the same person in real life, but also sometimes you get to meet someone in their DMs, you get to see that they're an upstanding citizen, that they like soccer or Chipotle burritos or whatever the hell it is these Midwesterners are eating out there. But that's it. They got a head start. They had a head start as opposed to two random people. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it doesn't. We know plenty of relationships that thought they got a head start. I'm thinking of Andrew and Teddy or whatever, some of these out there, and they just fizzled in real life. All right. Well, if you want to check out the full podcast episode, Talking It Out is available wherever people listen to podcasts. It's probably pretty good. I haven't listened to all of it, but I wanted to give you guys the Bachelor in Paradise tea before tonight's episode of Bachelor in Paradise. All right, if you guys want to stick around for the Bachelor live stream, the Bachelor in Paradise pre-show live stream, I'll be live 7 p.m. East Coast, and maybe after tonight's episode, I got to check my stand-up schedule and see when I'm available, but we'll also have an episode tomorrow night, so it's double duty. We're all working hard out there, and of course, run, don't walk to go check out my daily roundup at Bachelor Rush Hour, which will be released every day on podcast apps at 5 p.m. East Coast time, 5 p.m. East Coast time, 2 p.m. Pacific, right in time for your rush hour commute. You can listen to that podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Link in the comment section to check that out. We'll be back with more right after this.